Hope my screen is visible.
Yeah.
Okay. So today, today we have a task. So the task is so here we have 6 by 6 square, and I have divided into 4 equal parts. So the task is we have to choose rectangles or squares such that each corner of the rectangle or square will lie in one of the partitions. I will write it down. So make squares and rectangles such that each vertex lies in each, I'll call them quadrants. In each quadrant, goal is to uh, okay, maximize the total perimeter of all the shapes.
Total perimeter, matlab, take the sum of the perimeters of
All rectangles or
all
squares.
rectangles. Okay.
So in order to be able to identify the rectangles or squares, we can also name the boxes. I'll just name them A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, A. So I have just named one of the quadrants. So you can use the same alphabets to choose a rectangle or a square. So if you want to choose something like this, so this will be a rectangle with A's. So similarly, you can try with other alphabets also.
So is there some condition like you can't use the same cell in more than one rectangle?
Yes, correct. So each spot is exclusive.
Okay.
There can't be more than one vertices. And all of the vertices must be chosen by one of the squares or rectangles. Yeah, so totally there will be 9 squares or rectangles. Yeah, so I'll just repeat the question. So here is a grid of 6 by 6, and I have divided it into 4 equal parts. And the task is we have to make squares and rectangles such that each vertex lies in one of the quadrants. So say if we are calling these quadrants, there are 4 quadrants, and we have to choose rectangles or squares such that each vertex lies in one of the quadrants. The overall goal is to maximize the total perimeter of all the squares and rectangles. So if we see in each quadrant, there are 9 boxes. So from each box, there can be either a square or rectangle originating. So there will be a total of 9 squares or rectangles. And our goal is to maximize the total perimeter of all these squares or rectangles.
So here the squares and rectangles can overlap, right?
The squares and rectangles can overlap, but not the vertices.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, without overlap, we will be able to construct only one shape. Shiv, each small square need not lie in a unique square or rectangle. Each small square should belong to a unique rectangle or a square. I mean, the vertex. So each small square should be a vertex of one of the squares or rectangles.
Okay, now I understand.
It can be part of multiple shapes, but it can be a vertex for only only one shape.
Okay. So now for the square with A with vertices as A. So when you say vertex, The small square is a vertex, not a point.
Yes.
Okay, 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 okay.
So I'm considering the AAA rectangle as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 by 5 rectangle.
Okay, and the vertices are the small squares.
Yeah.
The squares with the letter A.
Yeah. It's like they're the boundaries of the rectangle.
Okay, okay.
So one thing that you can do is you can try to simplify this problem by choosing a 8, sorry, like we have 9 squares in each quadrant. We can instead try by 4 squares in each quadrant and see if we can get any strategy. So this larger square may take extra time to calculate the perimeter and making triangles. So we can instead try with 4 squares in each quadrant. So that will be 4 by 4 grid overall.
Okay, so I have an arrangement where the perimeter total is coming to be 152.
152. Okay. Anyone else has a higher number?
No, I have 144.
Oh. Okay. We also have 144.
My original intuition was that the total perimeter will be constant only.
Okay.
But it's like at least I also had an arrangement where I got 144. So yeah, I think it will change with different configuration.
Can you just check once if what you have meant, like if the calculation is correct?
Yeah, okay.
Ashwin, can you tell me the arrangement that you have made? Like I'll just fill the alphabets here in the square.
Okay, you have A, B, C, D, right? I will just like take the reflection of it.
Okay, one arrangement you have made is using reflection. Okay.
Yeah.
So what was the total perimeter of this?
152. I'm still checking.
Okay.
It looks like it's. Yeah, it's 144 only. I think it'll always be 144.
Yeah, correct. But how can we prove it? So the perimeter will always be 144. There is no minimum, maximum, anything. So
wow,
it will always be constant.
Ashwin had the right intuition.
Yeah. So the next step is how can we prove this?
Okay, so I think the sum of the lengths of whatever rectangles that you keep will be constant. Similarly, sum of the breadths.
Yes. Are you able to like see that?
Yeah, this is not a full proof. It's just like my intuition only at this point.
Okay. Gauri ma'am, did you see that the perimeter is constant?
Yeah, I've got 3 configurations all adding up to 144, but I don't yet see why. So
okay. Yeah. So it will be constant. Now the question is like, why is it? Yeah.
yeah.
So I will give a hint. Okay. So I'm writing a few letters here. Say I have written the word maths. And again, I'm writing the same letters, but in some random order. Now what you can try is you can try to find the sum of distances between two same letters.
Yeah, so I think I've got it.
So if we calculate this sum, and no matter how we arrange these letters, it will always be the same. So if you are able to see why this is,
okay.
So one thing is like trying different things and noticing that it is same. And yeah, of course, the next step would be figuring out why this is happening. So once you're able to figure that out, this will lead to this.
Okay, so the sum of the lengths and breadths for each row will be 12.
Yes. Yeah.
So
That
now
is
you
correct.
have like 3 rows. So
Yeah.
like the sum of length and breadth for each of the row, if you add together, it will come to be 36. Now
36.
twice that is 72, and like if you take the
Yes.
perimeter, it's going to be 120.
Yeah, that is correct. But again, like reasoning this, why this is happening. So why should this give the same sum no matter how we arrange the letters?
Yeah, you just take ABC. I mean, I will just explain.
Ah.
So now suppose you write ABC again.
Hmm.
So here you have the distance sum of distances to be something. It is 4 plus 4 plus 4.
Okay.
So now suppose if I swap A and B
Hmm.
on the right side,
Hmm.
it is like the distance between B is increasing, distance between A is increasing by some amount, but distance between B is decreasing by the same amount.
Okay.
So every time I make one swap,
Hmm.
the distance, sum of the distances will be the constant.
Yeah.
And now every permutation can be written by a series of swaps. So,
Yes.
so it will always be constant.
Yeah. So I visualized it in a different way. So I'll also show that how I did it. So as we are taking distances, so if we are taking AA and then BB and then CC, so if we see that each line has to come towards this midpoint. This B has to come towards this midpoint. C has to come towards this midpoint. Similarly on the other side. So each letter has to come towards the midpoint. So that will be just the sum of the distance from the midpoint to that letter. And in between, you can cross over to different ways. When you go from one side to other side, you can map from wherever you want. So essentially, each alphabet will travel the same distance to reach. I mean, each alphabet will have to travel to the midpoint, no matter how the arrangement is. So the distance will always be constant, the sum of those distances. So whichever alphabet is here, it has to come these many steps to reach the midpoint. Whichever alphabet is here, it has to come these many steps to reach the midpoint. Similarly, this, and the same goes the other way around. So only thing is, in between, we are crossing over to different things wherever we want. So this is how it will always be the same. So here we can say that here like 1, 2, 3, it has come 3 steps here. B has to come 2 steps here, and C has to come 1 step. And so the total will be the twice of this. The sum of distances will be the twice of this. 1 plus 2 plus 3 times 2. So something like this.
So we are using the associative property here,
Huh.
right? So instead of counting the sums of the distances, we are breaking each of the path into a path from A to the the letter to the midpoint,
Yeah.
and from the midpoint to the other letter. So
Yeah,
instead of
midpoint.
counting all the paths,
Yeah.
we are breaking it up, and we are first counting the lengths of all the paths from the particular letter to the midpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So the same argument can be used here. From each quadrant to the other quadrant, it will always be the same. So hence the perimeter will be constant. So the next question that comes up is how many arrangements of
that is
this
what
is possible? How many arrangements of this?
It will turn out to be 3 factorial power 3 factorial.
Not necessarily, right? All arrangements need not cannot be possible. 3 factorial power 3 factorial. Why to the power of 3 factorial? Because there are 6 rows and 6 columns, is it?
Okay, so if you make this grid, you take the first square. It will have 3 possible choices for the horizontal and the vertical space. The fourth quadrant you need not consider, it will automatically be fixed.
Correct.
So For the left and the bottom, there will be 3 choices for A.
Okay, but one thing you can try is, so once you have filled 2 quadrants, the third quadrant cannot be just about anything. So there is actually a dependency.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it won't be those many actually.
No, Shravan, can you repeat your argument?
So you're saying, so we have 4 quadrants. Yeah, the last quadrant, of course, we don't have to fill because it's obvious what it will be. But I'm saying if you have filled 2 quarters and the third quarter cannot be any of the possibilities. So there are some things which may not make a rectangle or square.
Yeah, that is true. So actually, when I say 6 power 6, it just like 3 factorial power 3 factorial is just a neat way of saying it. I actually found out all the possible choices each square has. It turned out to be this neat form.
Okay. Can you explain how?
Okay, so we will take all of the letters A to I.
So you are fixing quadrant 1, or in quadrant 1 also you are changing?
No, in quadrant 1 I'm fixing.
Okay, quadrant 1 is the same. Okay, then?
So for A, in the row there will be 3 choices.
Yeah.
In the column there will be 3 choices.
Yeah.
For B, in the row there will be only 2 choices, but in the column there will be 3 choices.
Okay.
So if we keep doing this for each of the squares, it will come for A, it will be 3 into 3.
Okay.
For B, it will be 2 into 3. For C, it will be 1 into 3.
Okay.
Then for D, it will be 3 into 2, 2 into 2, 1 into 2.
3 into 2, 2 into 2, 1 into 2.
D. For E, there will be only 2 choices for the row, 2 choices for the column. So for F, there will be only 1 choice for the row, but 2 choices for the column.
Yeah. Okay. So this will come to 6 power 6, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we have one more question. So like we have tried with a square grid. Does the same thing happen with a rectangular grid also?
Same thing means the perimeter being the same. Yeah.
Yeah, we are not using the fact that it's a square anywhere, so I think it will be true for rectangle.
Correct. Now, okay, the perimeter thing was obvious from this. Now, what can we say about the area? Like, what will be the minimum and maximum?
Okay, so area, I think it will be different now.
Yeah. So, what is the strategy can we use?
Okay, so for 2 arrangements, it's coming to be same 144, the area for me.
2?
I tried 2 arrangements. The sum of the areas is coming to be 144 again.
Okay.
I'm just wondering if it's coincidence.
Actually, the area will also be the same.
Wow.
But why is the question? So perimeters we were able to see because it's just the summation of different these things. But area we are multiplying, and how it holds constant even across when we are doing different ways. So how is the question? So
Ashwin, can you repeat your argument for 6 power 6?
Okay, my argument is this. So if I have 3 rows and 3 columns, I have like this. So I will list down the possible choices for each of the letters. So for A, there will be 3 choices for the row and 3 choices for the column, correct?
Yeah.
For B, in the row, there will be only 2 choices, but in the column, there will be 3 choices.
Yeah.
For C, row, there is only 1 choice, column, there are 3 choices.
Yeah.
So for D, it will be like this again. But for D, along the column, there will be 2 choices.
Yeah.
Similarly for E, similarly for F.
Okay.
For GHI, there will be no choice. So if you see,
Correct. Yeah.
it will be like this. So my reasoning is, this is after fixing Q1.
No, wait. What do you mean by after fixing Q1?
That is, I am fixing the first quadrant to be only of this form: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H.
I mean, what else can you fix it as? The question is, what are the possible ways of dividing the region into rectangles, right?
So this is the answer.
Okay. Wait a minute. So all these things still here I agree.
Now the total ways will be 9 factorial times 6 power 6, right? Because I can fill the first quadrant in 9 factorial ways.
Yeah, that is my next argument. So, but then it's like the number of different triangles, I mean, different squares and rectangles is same. It's only that the labeling is different.
Yeah. Correct.
Ashwin, can you just continue that screen share? Still, I'm not understood. So I understand I agree with the first part of rows and columns, the choices. But from there, you getting 3 power 6 and 2 power 6 and 1 power 6, still I not understood that. But okay.
Multiplying these things.
Yeah, multiplying these things. But okay, just give me some time. But then you can also see Ashwin, Shravan told that this is equivalent to just fixing the vertices in the just choosing the squares along the opposite quadrants, right?
Maybe just Q1 and Q4.
Q1 and Q4. If you do that, you won't get this answer.
Yeah.
If you do that, you'll get a different answer. So I'm just trying to see what is the.
Yeah, actually it should give the same, right? Because like here we are only using the labels.
Okay, so Shravan, you are kind of assuming if you choose A, you can choose any of the squares in this quadrant, right?
For the first, for the first alphabet, we can of course choose any of the.
Yeah, okay. So with your reasoning, we will try to find out how many choices each thing has. So if you choose A, there are 9 choices for A.
Correct.
But okay, so now for B, there might be 8 choices. For C,
No,
I
no,
don't.
no. For B, there are not 8 choices.
Why? Why
Yeah.
not?
Because both A and B cannot be in the same column
Both A and B cannot be in the same column.
in Q4.
Uh,
You put A and B in the same column, and then you won't be able to get a square or rectangle.
oh, then it must be far less than 6. It is less than 9 power 9 factorial. Okay, okay.
Yeah. So 9 factorial is like overcounting.
But this way we can count actually. So for B, it will be 6.
Hmm.
C, it will be 3.
Ah.
And then for D, it should be 6.
Okay.
And
So wait. For B, how did you say it is 6?
so because it can't go in the same column as A, it can go in the remaining 6.
No. So, oh, okay. Yeah, it can go anywhere here. Fine.
Similarly for C, it can't
Ah.
go in A or B, it can go in the other column, which is not filled.
Shravan, so you're saying that A and B cannot, the images of A and B cannot be in the same column
In Q4,
in Q4. Why is that?
No, then you will have this kind
you
of.
won't be, you won't be able to, there'll be same vertex in the same
Oh,
box. Multiple vertices in the same box.
got it. Got it.
Then for E, it will be 1, 2, 3. How many? Like I shouldn't just randomly fill it. Then we'll have a better idea.
Yeah, okay.
D, it has now 6 options.
No, D, it should not be in, it should have 4, no? 1, 2, 3, 4. Basically, it's not straightforward, right?
But D can be anywhere, no?
No, if D is here, you will have a problem here.
Right. Yeah, correct. Yeah, same goes for column, row and column. Yes, horizontal and vertical. Yeah. So D will have 4. Yeah.
No, if I put B here, then effectively I only have, okay. So if I put C here, I have 4. But if I put C here,
See, you
then,
can't put there, no?
oh, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So D has what, 4?
Yeah, D should have 4. We should look at both horizontal and vertical. You should not forget that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now I understand.
D,
So,
A, okay, D, A. Okay, then E will have, so D, F, B, H. So E cannot go.
this is complicated. This is more complicated than the initial viewpoint.
No, but if we fill this up, we'll get the answer. Like
It should come to be the same. Okay,
hopefully.
so while this is 3 into 3,
E cannot go in the AD column. It can go in all other 4, I think. No, can it go with B, B, E, B? No, it can't go in the B column also, right? Because it intersects in the Q2. So it has only 2 options left.
so F will have only one option. Okay, it is difficult to keep track.
So here we are getting far less than 6 power 6 also, no?
No, it is not far less. So up till now, if you take even this 2 also, you are getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 power 4, 2 power 4. But basically, I think these are all not independent. The number of choices for D will also depend on B and C.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, B, C, yes. So Ashwin, we'll use your argument and place these ones.
Okay.
Okay, Q1 is fixed. Now we'll try to fill Q2.
Hmm.
Q2, you just fill whatever you want.
Okay, wait. So for A, I'm putting here.
Fill the entire Q2.
Okay. Hmm.
So now Q2 can be filled in 3 factorial cube ways, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Now we will try to fill either Q3 or Q4.
Hmm. Okay, we'll try to fill Q3.
Huh.
So for A, the number of choices is 3.
Yeah.
So I'm putting it here. So
Hmm.
now automatically this becomes A only.
Hmm.
For B also I have 3 choices.
Hmm.
So now this automatically has to be B.
Hmm.
Again C also I can put here itself.
Hmm. Yeah.
So now D if I put here, then automatically D here will be.
Hmm.
So for E again I have 2 choices. So I put here.
Okay.
So for F also I have 2 choices.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now G, H, I only 1 choice for all of them.
Hmm. Okay. So this is also coming up to 6 power 6, no?
No, wait.
Yeah, here H has, wait.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. This is what I was telling. So some configurations are not possible. Like, if you
Okay.
just randomly do it.
What was not possible now?
So if I put H here, I am not complete.
You are not getting?
I am not able
Q4, yeah, H4, H has no place in Q4.
Okay, so okay. You're trying to fill. Okay. I mean, can we just try to fill Q1, Q2, Q3? Q4 will automatically get filled, right?
Yeah, that's what
that's
we are
what I
doing.
do.
Ah.
But there is a contradiction in
Okay.
Q4.
Uh-huh.
So it will be less than 6 power 6.
Okay.
Oh. Oh, right. Now I see.
Somewhere that earlier we were looking, right? Same column, same row, multiple things coming. So somewhere it might have happened. So resulting this has come up.
So when you have one square directly within another square, then you'll have this collision. So you have the D square and the H square is directly within it.
So here what we were doing is we were filling Q2 and Q3 independently actually. Isn't it?
Yes.
Exactly. But Q1 was already there.
Yes.
So we can't fill Q2 and Q3 independently.
Yeah. Now it's clear.
Even without Q1, Q2 and Q3 can't be filled independently, as we just saw before.
Well, nice. This counting question, did you come up with it, Sharon?
Yeah. But we don't know what the answer is. Even that area, I'm stuck. Even like I'm not able to figure out how to go ahead.
Nice question. Area question, I thought Ashwin had some explanation.
Yeah, I also thought that was like solved only.
Okay, but to Shravan and to others, it is not yet solved. So let it be like that.
Okay.
Do you have a solution explanation, Ashwin?
Okay, so for the perimeter, effectively what we are doing is summation of L. This is what we are finding.
Yeah.
So this turns out to be a constant.
Yeah, it was same. L and B was same as it was a square. Yeah.
So it is like you mentioned, no? Here also, if you take summation of L to be this, then this will be the total sum of the areas.
No, this is what we are observing, but why should this happen is the question.
Because the sum of the area will be this.
No, but areas we are calculating individually, right? So of rectangles and squares. This is coming out like this. Yeah, that is one observation. When this is how it is happening. But why should when we are doing L and B individually, L times B individually, how is it coming out to be the same? Even if we choose a different sets of L's and different sets of B's.
Okay. So I also like didn't fully think through, but I will try to use the same argument that I used for perimeter. That is, if you try to get swap a pair along row. Okay, show that similarly, if we show that if you swap along column,
symmetrically it is the same.
Yeah, sum of area is constant.
Or no, what I am thinking is,
no, this we can
let us just
like taking an example, we can of course say this, but why should that happen is the question. So this part of argument was clear with respect to perimeter, but here we are doing area, right? So whatever you have told that show that if we just take an example, of course it will come out to be true, but why should it come out to be true is the question.
Okay, this is one approach. What I'm thinking of is we'll just fix a square. Okay, we'll just fix a square and try to think of all the other rectangles to which it can belong to. Okay, if you see, then
this is for what permutations? Huh?
Area. Okay. Now, why do you remove all the letters? Okay.
Just the labels.
Yeah, just the labels of the first quadrant. Can I just put it, Kashan? Okay, now for example, if you take the square, the cell A, okay, it can occur only in a square having A as a vertex, right? And cell B will occur in rectangles having A as a vertex or B as a vertex. Means now instead of adding, okay, instead of adding all the areas, what I am seeing is I'm seeing each cell
Ah.
in how many rectangles is recurring.
Yeah, correct.
Both are same, right? The same principle,
Yes, correct.
associativity.
Yeah. Oh,
Right?
okay.
If you see like that,
Right. Yeah. I think this should be able to explain it. Yes. Yeah.
so cell A will occur in only one rectangle having the vertex as A.
Correct.
B will occur in exactly two rectangles
Two rectangles. Yes.
having a vertex as A or B.
Yes.
C will C in 3,
Yeah.
D in 2, E in 1, 2, 3, and so on.
Hey.
And this is
Yeah.
okay. And this is for the first quadrant, right? So now, but what about the cells in quadrant 2 and quadrant 3 and quadrant 4?
It should be the same, no? Symmetrically.
Yeah, it'll be the same only. I'm just trying to complete the argument.
I think this is how many squares it will overlap.
So what is the sum of it? 3, 6. How 9? How do you get 9, man? The first row.
9. All squares will come there. No. I'm counting from this. I'm just adding up everything.
Okay. 6, 8, 12, 18, 27,
36. So 36 into 4. That was the answer, 144.
Yay.
Yeah, I think this explains that.
For me, still, I don't create the full picture, the full argument. It is.
Why? This is complete, no?
Okay, you create the complete picture.
So whatever numbers we have written, so these are the number of times that particular square will come up. So
irrespective of where the vertices are.
Yeah. What do you mean where the vertices are?
No, irrespective of the way we create the rectangles.
Yeah. Yes.
Irrespective of the way we create rectangles.
Yes.
These are the number of times they'll occur.
Because using the previous argument, right? So from here, it has to cross over here. So the number of times it is crossing over that point, only those many rectangles will come, no matter where we place them. So that argument suffices.
Correct. Yeah, the counting column, now I understand the complexity. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.